Yo, what is up, NBA and basketball fans? Who is the best player in NBA history?
Warning. The following video contains large amounts of truth bombs. It is advised that if your favorite meal is hater tots and hater aid that you exit the video now. Truth bombs dropping in.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, that question should be pretty easy to answer, but that answer becomes a little less clear when you start to ask who is the second best player in NBA history. A lot of the older NBA fans will throw out names like Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Some of the relatively new NBA fans will say names like LeBron James and Kobe Bryant. And some of the fans from 2015 till now will throw out the names like Stephen Curry and Dion Waiters. In this video, I'm gonna make a case for someone whose name doesn't get thrown around a lot, but that I personally feel deserves that number 2 spot among the best players in NBA history. And that player is none other than the big fundamental himself, Tim Duncan. Now, I know when some of you guys saw the title for this video or heard me say that, your mind was completely blown. Now, when hearing the name Tim Duncan, I think it's pretty safe to assume that when most of you heard me say that, you didn't even think of him when you thought of top 5 players in NBA history, or maybe even top 10. But I challenge you all to watch this entire video and I will show you the truth of why Tim Duncan should be considered the second best player ever. Taken with the number 1 pick in the 1998 NBA draft by the San Antonio Spurs, Duncan wasted no time at all proving his value as the number 1 pick. As his rookie year, he would help the San Antonio Spurs back into the playoffs, a feat that if you know Tim Duncan would become automatic, not even almost automatic, just flat out automatic. While he averaged just under 21 points and 12 rebounds as well as 2.5 blocks per game. 21 points, 12 rebounds, and 2.5 blocks per game as a rookie, but he didn't stop there. He would go on, of course, to win the Rookie of the Year award, but what was most impressive about Duncan's rookie campaign would be his first ever playoff game against the Phoenix Suns. In his first ever playoff game, Duncan absolutely dominated in the second half and finished with 32 points and 10 rebounds. Look here, that kind of production from a rookie in their first playoff game is almost as rare as the Philadelphia 76ers winning a regular season game. The Spurs may have lost that series, but this was just the beginning of the Tim Duncan era. Moving on to his sophomore year. His sophomore year might have been the most legendary sophomore year in NBA history. With now a taste of how the NBA and the NBA playoffs work, and having established himself as not just one of the league's most dominant big men, but one of the league's most dominant players overall, it was time for Tim Duncan already to take that next step and to become an NBA champion. In his second year, Tim Duncan's numbers were basically the same as his first year. Once again, he averaged 21 points, just under 12 rebounds, and another 2.5 blocks per game. But look here, in his second season, keep in mind, this is a 22-year-old kid. 22 years old. In his second season, he will lead the Spurs to win an NBA championship over the New York Knicks in 5 games. A 22-year-old kid leading an NBA team to a championship in his second year in the league. And of course, he also had to go out and win the Finals MVP, averaging 27 points, 14 rebounds, and another 2 blocks per game. But what really stood out to me is what Greg Popovich was quoted telling former head coach of the New York Knicks, Jeff Van Gundy, after the series. I've got Tim. That's the difference. I've got Tim. That's the difference. Yo, how big of a difference is that? How big of a difference is that? Look, that's like saying the reason that we basically swept you, because 5 games is basically a sweep. The reason we basically swept you is that we have Tim Duncan if you don't. If we didn't have Tim Duncan, y'all would have swept us. So Tim Duncan made that big of a difference. It's not like this series went down to 7 games and then the wire, and then the 7th game and went into quadruple overtime. No, it was a blowout series. That's just his first 2 seasons. While they were a spectacular first 2 seasons, it's still not enough to get you up there in the upper echelon of NBA players. So let's take a quick look at what else Tim Duncan has accomplished throughout his career. Tim Duncan was selected to the All-NBA First Team 10 times, the All-NBA Second Team 3 times, the All-NBA third team 2 times, the All-NBA defensive team 8 times, the All-NBA defensive second team 7 times, 15-time NBA All-Star, 3-time Final MVP winner, total of 5 NBA championships, 5 rings, 1 for each finger. Oh, and he was also a 2-time league MVP, you know, no big deal. Also, did I mention that in his 19-year career, he had never missed the NBA playoffs and finishes only second to Derek Fisher in playoff game appearances? I don't even know what else to say, yo. Tim Duncan, nothing but respect for Tim Duncan. I always loved the way he played. I loved the way he carried himself. He was like a true class act. That's why in my book, if you go through any other player in NBA history, I just gotta go with Tim Duncan as my number 2. Now let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Where would you place Tim Duncan on your list of all-time greats? And who is the second best player in the NBA to you? And if you guys like the video, then like the video. And also, if you haven't already, you guys should definitely subscribe for more NBA discussions, talks, just anything NBA and basketball related. And as always, remember to keep getting the buckets, Team SDC. Peace. Did Larry Bird ever do it by himself? No! And not only that, but you had some star-studded teams that could never get it done. If you look back at like the Philadelphia 76ers, back when they had Julius Erving, back in that year where they lost to the Portland Trailblazers in the NBA Finals, that team never won a championship and that team was stacked.